Sick in Amsterdam, man. I hate to see you like this.
I'm exhausted, but the show must go on.
It must go on. You need to pack it in, man. I've been telling you for months now. You've been traveling too much.
Today's a tea rip.
Ooh, pinky up. That's got his pinky up.
I got my green tea.
Vibes have been high over there?
Vibes are very high. The Dutch Bitcoin community is strong as fuck. We have so many, Marty. We have so many freaks in Amsterdam and like the surrounding areas that have come up to me and I've met. It's just really, really. I I was blown away by the Dutch Bitcoin community.
Shout out to our Dutch freaks out there. Thank you for listening. And thank you for hosting such a great event. Even though I've been a bit jet lagged from traveling a lot over the last few months, I do have massive FOMO not being there this week. It seems like an incredible conference from afar. Really unique content too.
Yeah, it was fun. The venue's great. It was in partnership with the local Amsterdam company. They did a really great job. And today is like the music festival is going on right now. The last 2 days have been content, and then today the music festival is going. Obviously, TabConf is also going on right now,
I was
which
going to
I'm
mention that.
feeling some FOMO about that I'm not there, but I'm also sick and exhausted, so can't make them all.
You didn't proofread the tweet today, but that's
I didn't.
the
I
title
didn't
of the
see.
title of the tweet is
Usually, I have to praise Marty before he sends the tweets out, and I was just too tired to do it today.
yeah, liquidity is drying up and Odell is sick in Amsterdam. Join us. That's the tweet.
Wow, this is what happens. One week I don't ask ahead of time, and this is what happens. Marty, have you ever been to Amsterdam, the
I've
city?
not. I've not. No.
It's one of my favorite cities. I mean, if the freaks have been listening for any period of time, I've always loved Amsterdam. So it's just good to be back. It's such a walkable city, beautiful city, good people.
Yeah, a lot of good clips coming out. The journalism
Oh, that was
panel.
a fiery panel. Everyone's been pretty mean to that
Jamina.
woman. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I've as somebody who runs a podcast in the early days, I struggled a lot with saying like, so I can
We
empathize
remember.
empathize with Jamina. But yeah, it is. If you're gonna go out there and speak publicly, you have to drop your ums. I'm still bad with my ums and your
What was
likes.
interesting? It was interesting because there was actually two FT reporters on stage, right? There was. I don't know if
Isabella.
I'm. Yeah, I don't know if I'm. It's Jim. Is it Jemima? Is how you pronounce her name? It was Jemima and Isabella, but Isabella is former FT. She used to hate Bitcoin. She was like one of our biggest anti-Bitcoin journalists. Um, and she switched, but it was like a combination of the COVID lockdowns and then the Ukraine conflict. And she switched to pro Bitcoin, left FT, and is starting an independent media outlet.
Yeah,
That was
I
interesting.
yeah actually during the lockdowns, I had a call with Isabella. I've known she's come to our side for quite some while. She mentioned she's really jarred by the lockdowns and the infringement on civil liberties. And then during lockdowns too, why she reached out to me because I was at Great American Mining, and she was really drawn to the using waste energy to mine Bitcoin. I think that helped push her over the edge as well.
And then also on the panel was Rizzo and Joe Hall. So Rizzo was also, one of the big anti-Bitcoin journalists back when he was editor of CoinDesk, and he's repented for his sins, and now he's at Bitcoin Magazine. And I guess Joe was the only pure one who never funded Bitcoin.
I Rizzo. I mean, we've talked about it on TFTC, but I've emails from like 2015 emailing him at CoinDesk, being like, "Hey, can I write for your?" And no, it was like 2017 because the Ben had already
That
started.
timeline, completely
Yeah,
different timeline.
could you imagine if I wrote for CoinDesk? I was so lazy though. He like gave me a test. He was like, "All right, here's a writing test," and I was like, "I'm not doing that." Never heard from him again until he came to the good side. The good side,
But
whatever.
yeah, good vibes, good people. Everything was Lightning enabled. Uh, the first day, the credit card terminals failed for like an hour, 2 hours, but the Lightning payment still worked, which was not
Hell
intentional.
yeah.
But we should make that a constant thing. I think just intentionally do it.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing the Coin Corner card NFT enabled being spent at using iBoxx Mercado's POS system. That was a really cool use case.
And they had the beer taps too, where you could just tap it on the beer taps.
Yeah. I mean, the UX is getting impeccable.
So every guest got one of these.
Really.
Got one of the corner bolt cards. Yeah.
That's cool. And then I saw Rodolfo. He tweeted out something yesterday. I forget what the wallet was. It was a really cool wallet. I've never seen it though. Somebody was sending up a multisig with a cold card.
The Keeper wallet.
Keeper wallet. Yeah.
So the Hexa wallet team has backtracked on their Shamir secret sharing setup, and they went with traditional seed words for the main Hexa wallet, and then they came out with a separate wallet called the Keeper wallet. So it's
from Hexa.
Yeah, it's the same team, but it's built specifically for multisig.
Yeah,
and really based on the standards that the industry has, rather than like rolling their own setup.
Yeah, but it took them. I mean, the video was fast forwarded a bit, but I imagine it took them no longer than 5 minutes to set up a 203 multisig with a cold card, a ledger, and a tap signer, and it was all a combination of NFC and Bluetooth enabled. He created a key on cold card and then used NFC with the cold card to put it on the Keeper wallet. Then they used Bluetooth with the Nano X to get the key from that to the mobile wallet, and then they used NFC with the tap signer. So it's getting really easy to create these secure multisig setups with Bitcoin. It's beautiful.
Mobile first. You don't need a desktop or a laptop computer.
Yeah, the UX is improving at a rapid pace. It's great to see. You got a tight rip today. You're in Amsterdam. You got a music festival. You got to go cough on everybody listening to music. So
I probably won't go to that, but
let's jump into Clark's dashboard. Current price of Bitcoin is 19,430 cuck-bucks. One cuck-buck's going to get you 5,147 sats.
Marty, did you just accuse me of being a super spreader and then go straight into Clark Moody's dashboard?
I may have. I mean, I didn't say. I said you're going to cough on anybody. I didn't say they were going to get what you had.
Well, I'll cough into my hand.
Don't do that. Cough it. No, in here.
I bet you the music festival right now is fucking lit though, because these guys, the guys that Bitcoin Magazine partnered with in Amsterdam, like that's their specialty. Their specialty is raves and music festivals. Like, did you see the inside of the main stage venue?
Yeah,
all the lights and everything. Like, it's a perfect music venue. It was a great conference venue as well. Really fucking love the venue. Sorry, I sidetracked. Back to Clark Moody.
Well, now we're going to continue the sidetrack because Erica Wall tweeted yesterday the juxtaposition of DevCon in Bogota versus the Bitcoin Europe conference in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
the aesthetics are completely different. It's funny.
Yeah, but if you wanted that was apples and oranges. Like, he really should have done TabConf versus DevCon.
Yeah,
and TabConf is just absolutely blows away DevCon, and then we're just partying over here and having a good time.
Yeah, the TabConf. I mean, they're not live streaming or anything, but I've just seen people doing tweet threads of the content there, and it seems very high signal. Peter Todd's got some comments on Taro.
Oh, I spoke to the RGB team. They had some interesting comments on Taro. Did you see their presentation?
I have not. I spoke to.
Check out the Bitcoin Magazine. It freaks if you're very bullish on Taro, go check out the Bitcoin Magazine YouTube channel and go watch.
Who gave
RGB.
The presentation? Because I was talking to two of the RGB team members in Riga.
Max gave the presentation.
Okay, I don't know if I met Max. I met
The main guy, Dr. Orlovsky.
who did I meet?
I definitely pronounced that wrong. I was trying not to pronounce his last name, which is why I said Max, but then you hit me with that, so I had to.
I want to give her a proper shout out because
I got to meet
Olga.
Art by for the first time. Ride or die freak.
Yeah, I met Olga from the art.
With this guy named Martin, ride or die freak.
Shout out Martin.
There were
Martin.
so many, dude. There's so many ride or dies here, and a lot of them from Netherlands. It's amazing. I had no idea. I had no idea. Such a strong crew over here,
dude. That was you should meet our Serbian freaks. I met them in Riga. They've got a strong Serbian contingent too.
I met at least one of our Serbian freaks here, but yeah.
Polish, Finnish, freaks everywhere. Thank you for listening, freaks. We love you. Back to Clark's dashboard. We're currently at block height, 758,648. We are 1,384 blocks away from the next difficulty adjustment, which is estimated to be 5.8% upward adjustment right now because blocks been coming in at 9 minutes and 29 seconds on average. However, I should mention this estimated difficulty adjustment for this particular epoch has been a bit volatile. It's been as high as like 14% and as low as 2%. Now it's hovering around 6%. So some fuckery going on with hash rate makes sense.
Do you hear the rumors?
Which ones? About China?
That Bitmain is like got a sneaky, extremely efficient rigs that they've been powering up.
Have not heard that rumor. Should be privy to it. I've elaborate. That's what people think's happening.
Yeah, that Bitmain has a new rig that is fucking insanely efficient.
They're just mining with it themselves right now.
Yeah, that they just put them online without releasing them. Or I heard two versions of the same rumor. I heard one that Bitmain was putting them on, and then another that Bitmain has given them to a specific large miner that I'm not going to name that has put them on
to test out.
Yeah. But like the efficiency gain was crazy, so I find that part hard to believe, but maybe it's just a little bit exaggerated. But that kind of when you see these kind of hash movements, I mean that difficulty jump was massive.
Yeah, I mean we just had a 13.6 upward adjustment to think, especially with hash price hovering at 6 cents a terahash per day right now. You'd figure people would be turning their machines off because it's simply unprofitable. But
sorry, continue.
No, go
ahead. Crypto Clydesdale said pleb heating season, and he reminded me the venue was a little bit chilly. Might be part of the reason I'm sick, because they have heating restrictions in the Netherlands.
Energy rations, they're here.
How fitting is that?
It's I mean, you're feeling it in real time. There is currently 628 transactions in Clark's mempool. Mempool's pretty empty right now, at least Clark says. There are 5,540.49 Bitcoin in Samurai's Whirlpool in unspent capacity. And unspent value right now is 107.8 million on the dot. Yeah, mining has been it's been a tough time to be a miner in recent weeks with the price hovering in this 18 to 20K range and hash rate screaming right now. I'm actually going to dump a tweet in our chat here, Logan, because Daniel Frumpkin from Braiins tweeted this out yesterday. It's a pretty jarring chart to look at. It's on the Braiins Insights dashboard. So if you're mining at 5 cents a kilowatt hour right now, open up that picture. Here's the profitability of the miners, and mining margins right now are extremely thin unless you're using an S19 XP, which is only slightly profitable. It's a tough time out there if your electricity cost is above 5 cents. Like if we go to insights.braiins.com. And if you just go to there, I think, and then go to hash value and hash price, once you get there. Most miners are probably like in the 7 to 8 cent range. Oh, goddamn Commons. Never mind. They're not going to let you in.
Yo, use a VPN, bro. Don't ask permission.
It would mess up the latency. Goddamn.
Oh,
Who the
no.
fuck is running?
You literally know everyone.
If anybody from Unchained is listening, somebody get the...
Yo, Jevy, get on this.
Jevy, please, somebody tell
I'm going to go open
the network admin to let us go on these Bitcoin-related websites. I can't check my BTC Pay server without being on a VPN here. Regardless, we'll just look at the static chart that Daniel shared. It is extremely tough out there in the mining industry. And as we've mentioned, hash rate is ripping. If we go to Clark's dashboard, or actually we can just stay on Insights. I'll stay on Insights since I'm on my VPN. Hash rate is estimated to be 266 exahash a second, which is all-time high. And that's, again, after the biggest difficulty adjustment we saw, I believe, in like 2 years. So, or since last July, a little over a year. So yeah, it's hard out there for a miner. I mean, I don't think we have many of these topics on the list, but there's rumors swirling behind the scenes of many miners beginning to struggle and some nearing bankruptcy, similar to what Compute North experienced a couple weeks ago. We said then that there will likely be more, and from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, yeah, there's more to come. We've had some disclosures in recent weeks, but I think it was Bit Digital came out with an announcement. They only have 36% of their potential hash rate online. They were caught up with Compute North. They're saying Compute North going under isn't going to affect their hash rate, but even if it doesn't, they're still only at 36%. So you imagine a company like that is going to have some struggles. Argo came out with a press release recently that was not very glowing. They don't have all their hash rate on. They're not very profitable right now either. So again, if you're a miner not running the top of the line machines, the S19 XPs right now, or whatever, or this mystery Bitmain machine, you're fucked. So yeah, I think if you're mining over 7-8 cents per kilowatt hour as your electricity cost, you're struggling. You're getting on your knees and praying for the price to go up to help out with some of these revenues.
Yeah, it's rough out there for miners.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the list. This was a big topic. I'm sure you were traveling when this was going on, but this happened Sunday night here in Texas around like 4 or 5 p.m. I
was going to fly.
Yeah, I started seeing rumblings on Twitter. There was a large Taproot multisig transaction, which broke BTCD. And since BTCD is a dependency that LND leverages, it broke LND as well. And so I actually recorded an episode with Paul Miller, our boy Paul. We talked a lot about you on that episode. I'm sure you haven't listened to it yet, but we got into the history of Vergecast and some nods he thinks you were giving to him in the early days.
Vergecast inspired RHR.
Yeah, that's
because I was a weekly Vergecast listener, and so I was not a podcaster. Obviously, I'd only done that one episode, that the interview series we had done together. So the early days of RHR was basically Vergecast for Bitcoin.
Yeah, and he was saying that you were giving nods to Vergecast by doing disclaimers and disclosures.
Yeah, and then he would give nods. It was really cute. We had a really cute early relationship. He would do nods in Vergecast.
Well, anyway, Paul and I sat down to talk about this topic as well as many others, including their cute back and forth back in the early days of RHR. But so a Turkish Bitcoiner, I believe he's Turkish. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain he is. Burak. He made
Shout out Barack. I got to meet him in Miami. I had him on the open source stage. Kid's a fucking genius.
Yeah, well,
I love
yeah,
that.
he's
We're lucky
push
to have him.
he's pushing the limits too. So he
Well,
made
don't give people the ability to make 1,000 fucking sig multi-sig if you don't expect them to do it.
hey, it wasn't
Like
quite 1,000. It was 998 of 999 multi
1,000
sig.
asterisk.
So Barack, I believe he made a TabScript multi-sig transaction. Again, 998 of 999 was the threshold, and he pushed it on mainnet, and it broke BTCD.
No, that's not even. I don't even think that's the best part. The best part is then he proceeded to tweet it out, super excited, like, "Look, I did this for $4."
Yeah, and then Ben,
all the LND codes broke.
that was Ben responds, "LOL, this just broke LND." So what happened was,
The tweet made it because the tweet, he was so excited to tell everyone that he did it. It reminded me of what was that? It feels like a decade ago. Remember the Ethereum multisig that like someone commented like, "I think I broke it" or something.
I
It's like
forget. I'm not
it was
recalling this.
they lost like hundreds of millions of dollars on some Ethereum multisig, and like it was just a NIM account commented underneath like, "Wait, how do I do this thing?" And then the next comment was like, "I think I broke it."
Was this the Gavin Woods? What the hell was he running?
No, after that. Anyway, freaks, if you remember the story, put it in the comments. But anyway,
I
continue,
do
Marty.
vaguely remember now that you mention it. People were yelling at the guy for doing it, but it's like, yeah, he can do it. And Barack,
He was like, fucking around with the commands just to see what works, and then he just like nuked the contract.
but back to this. So Barack sent out this tap script. Believe he used musig too to create this multisig address and transaction, and it broke BTCD, which is an alternative implementation of Bitcoin that LND leverages, and in BTCD they don't have like a hard coded limit that could recognize this type of transaction yet, or at least they didn't on Sunday, and so BTCD was recognizing this transaction as invalid. So BTCD essentially hard forked off the network, and because of that, since LND is dependent on BTCD, there was chaos on LND on the Lightning Network.
BTCD didn't implement Taproot correctly, and BTCD is an alternative Bitcoin implementation written in Go that LND uses.
Yeah, and so
this only knocked out LND nodes. Like if you were one of the dozens of people that run Core Lightning,
there's dozens of us,
or LDK, or
Electrums,
Electrum, or
if
Async.
If you're one of the 3 people running Electrum's Lightning implementation,
you were not affected by this. But if you were anyone else, all of a sudden your LND node was not in sync with the chain, which means it cannot police malicious channel closes. So your channel partner could close the channel and say like all the money is theirs, and your node wouldn't be any of the wiser. But the default timeout period,
it's 2
I
weeks.
believe, is 2 weeks. So as long as you update within 2 weeks, then you would get all the money if they tried to cheat you.
Yeah, with the justice transaction. So hypothetically,
justice transaction.
If you are not updated to LND version 0.15.2 yet, and you do update, and you recognize that one of your channel counterparts is trying to steal all the funds in your channel, you can send out a justice transaction like, hey, this guy's obviously trying to cheat.
You don't have to like do shit. Your node is supposed to do it for you.
Yeah.
But there's another aspect here, because Marty's first response in one of our group chats was Watchtowers for the win.
I said, I hope everybody's running Watchtowers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't say Watchtowers for the win. Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, most people that use Watchtowers on LND. So Watchtower is a separate server that is watching your channel states, and then if they see a malicious channel state, they publish the justice transaction for you. But my understanding is the L&D watchtower was also broken. They like bundle a watchtower in L&D, but that also uses BTCD, so
So
that
they're
wouldn't have protected.
borked as well. Could you run
And
like
then
a
there's
core lightning watchtower to?
like the major one is Eye of Satoshi, I think it's called, and that doesn't work with L&D.
Yeah.
But anyway, freaks, I think this is a perfect example because this wasn't even an adversarial environment. This was one of our own, just using the features of Bitcoin and broke these nodes. I think this kind of goes to show that we still haven't really seen an adversarial environment for Lightning yet, where there's active attacks going on all the time.
Yeah, and this is a good chunk of the conversation that Paul and I had. We're probably lucky that it was a friendly who broke LND just by accident or not even recognizing that his actions would break LND. It is a pretty tough look because you have, if you want to be compatible moving forward, you have to upgrade to version 0.15.2.
So that's the scary thing that we've talked about on Lightning Land for a while. I mean, there's a reason why Bitcoin Core doesn't have auto updates, and that's because updates can be a malicious attack vector. You can have an update that actually attacks users or attacks the network. So you want at least manual updates, but you also want a culture where you're not updating right away in a rush, like where there's actually eyes on the code before you update. And in this situation, the entire Lightning industry basically rushed through this update. I mean, it was a minimal update, relatively easy to review, but not a great. And I also had this conversation on the open source stage with a bunch of the node projects, right? I think I had Raspberry Blitz up there, Nix Bitcoin, Start Nine. Um, Maybe I had someone from my node up there. I think I had someone from Ronin Dojo up there. And I was like, on Lightning, does it make sense, even though we don't like auto updates and we don't think people should auto update, if it's like an average user and it's Lightning and they're rushing through updates and you need to be up to the most recent release, should that be an option that people have auto updates? Like, I definitely don't think it should happen on Bitcoin Core. But and before you freaks try and attack my node, um my main public,
Tony,
I have
Tony,
I have multiple nodes. My main public node is updated,
our node
but
is updated as well.
I have a node that's running at home that's not updated right now, right? And I probably wouldn't have enabled auto updates on it anyway. But for some people that are running nodes at home and they're traveling and whatnot, um, and on top of that, like who like are the is the average user actually, are they like are they like turning on Umbrel's UI and then thinking twice before they press the fucking update button? Like they're not. They're just clicking the update button. They're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, LND has a bug, and they're just like signing it and like smacking update really quickly.
Well,
So like,
that's
are we just lying to ourselves by saying like, oh, it's not auto update? It's a thought.
it is a thought. Definitely, again, comes with trade offs. That's the beauty of Lightning. You can experiment in this way, and I mean, hashtag reckless was a part of the early Lightning culture. Paul would argue that we're past that stage and we probably shouldn't be as reckless. But again, going back to why Lightning exists in the first place is to make this trade off to allow you to do these cool things with Bitcoin without perturbing the protocol level. So yeah, this conversation is obviously stoked here on Rabbit Hole Recap, but I imagine it will begin permeating out. And I'm not saying it's going to start here, but I bet this will become a debate moving forward. But if I were you, I would encourage freaks to go attack your node because you're going to be home within 2 weeks, and you can just have a bunch of people trying to steal your channels, and you can just
Yeah, what I meant to say is I have not updated any of my nodes, so please, freaks, do not attack.
no
Do not attack.
attack. I would encourage them to attack so you get more sats.
No, I know, Marty. I'm fucking around. Don't do it, freaks. You're gonna lose money.
Yeah. I had something else to say
I
too.
got accused of that by a Dutch freak because we were having the conversation yesterday. And I was like, yeah, like one of my nodes isn't updated. He's like, fuck you, Matt. You're just trying to take our sats. You just want us to, I know what you're doing.
But yeah, no, this brings up the big question of the man in the coma too. Is he fucked? He is fucked.
Man in the coma should not use Lightning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're considering going into a coma, close your channels first, move them on chain to cold storage, then go in the coma.
Yes. If you're in a coma now, you better wake up uh, before a week from this Sunday, or you're fucked. Or actually, it's probably even sooner than that with hash rate ripping. So be aware if you're out there and you have not been aware.
Go blindly update your node or review it. Consider reviewing it.
Yeah, but like Matt said, they had to make a fix in BTCD to basically recognize this type of transaction, and then LND.
It was a very simple. It was a very simple fix.
Yes. Shout out to Barack for pushing the limits. But yeah, again, Lightning needs to be battle tested more. I think this is probably the biggest.
Someone accused him, like a couple people in the industry accused him of being reckless. Like that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like don't like once again, do not give us the ability to make a extremely large multisig transaction if you don't want us to make an extremely large multisig transaction.
Yeah. Again, people should go listen to the conversation with Paul because we talked about this too, like with Taproot and all that. Like everybody was really gung ho about it, myself included. Really looking at the advertised benefits that come with data compression, potential to bring more privacy to the Lightning Network by being able to open channels with a Taproot transaction that looks like a single sig transaction, so you can sort of mask the fact that you're opening up a Lightning channel. However, I'm not technically competent enough to understand the edge cases like the one that Barack brought to the fore. I had something else to say.
It's interesting because there's like two, depending on your bias, you can like take the situation two different ways. So on Lightning, it was nice that we had multiple implementations because core Lightning nodes didn't go down, async nodes didn't go down, LDK didn't go down, Electrum Lightning did not go down. So it was nice that we had multiple implementations. But the reason LND went down was because we had multiple implementations on chain on the main consensus layer because they were using BTCD. So depending on your bias, you can use this as a case study against multiple implementations or for multiple implementations. Or I guess the nuanced thing could be we should have multiple implementations on a layer 2 network like Lightning, but we shouldn't have multiple implementations on the consensus layer.
Yeah. Bitcoin's still early, freaks. We're still working out these kinks. And I do remember what I was going to say. I was going to say thanks to the people out there like Gleb Naumenko and Antoine Riard and others who are actively probing to find these edge cases and these weaknesses in the Lightning Network.
Oh, I got to meet Gleb. I spent a lot of time with Gleb. I fucking love that dude.
How's he doing?
I didn't meet him. I met him in New York. He was a New York Bitcoiner, but
how's he doing?
He's doing good. But I got to see him. I hadn't seen him in years.
Shout out Gleb. Shout out Antoine. Shout out Barack. Shout out everybody at LND.
Yeah, shout out to people who worked on
a Sunday night. Dude, that dropped on a Sunday night.
The night before Indigenous Peoples Day, too. It's a national holiday. Shout out to all my Italian freaks out there who celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day.
I'm going to bite my tongue. The next on the list is Spiral, Braiins, and others are collaborating on Stratum V2, trying to push the updated mining pool protocol live. So a partnership between Spiral, Braiins, and other open source Bitcoin companies. They're working to focus on building and sharing tools to make upgrading to and deployment of Stratum V2 a more streamlined process for miners. So they're trying to make it easy for everybody. Obviously, Braiins, the Braiins team started the Stratum V2 open source project. It's taken on a life of its own. There's others contributing to it. Spiral funded a few devs to work on it specifically. Foundry has implemented it. Braiins has it implemented, and now it's just trying to get it to a point where it's easy for others to implement. And I still believe we need a soft fork around job negotiation in Bitcoin Core so that it can the full potential of the update can be realized. But progress is being made. For those of you who are unaware, Stratum V2 is an iteration on the protocol that mining pools use to communicate with each other and construct blocks, more importantly. It comes with many benefits, starting with the fact that individual miners who are pointing their hash at mining pools will now be sending those shares via encrypted messages, which isn't the case with Stratum V1. It's plain text, which is a privacy leak, so it's good from a privacy perspective for individual miners. And then the big thing that everybody's excited about is
and attacks because of that too.
Yes,
is more important.
Yes, prevents man-in-the-middle attacks. And then also with Stratum V2, it allows individual miners to construct blocks themselves instead of depending on the mining pool to construct the block. So this is a step in the right direction, but will steelman this and bring up the Eric Voskuil point, which is, yes, individual miners will be able to construct their own blocks. However, they are still feeding those blocks to the pool that needs to broadcast the transaction. And so you could find yourself in a situation where individual miners are able to construct their own blocks, and they send that block to the pool, and the pool doesn't broadcast because they don't like the transactions in the block. So,
but I think it's more of like obviously you still have to trust the pool operator, but it's more of something to tell regulators that, we don't choose which transactions are in the block, or individual miners do.
Yeah. But then the regulators can be like, but you broadcast it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're watching Rabbit Hole Recap, but if they're not, it's just like, no, we can't. We don't construct them. Our individual miners construct them. It's like the self custody Lightning wallets.
Yeah, it's again, this is one shortfall of the protocol, but it's objectively a material improvement on Stratum V1. So
it's better than the status quo.
Yes. Moving on, Coincenter suing OFAC.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but BitMEX is in that working group, and so is Galaxy Digital.
Did not mention it. So shout out BitMEX and Galaxy.
And I've been with Pavel next. He's been one of the leads over at Stratum V2 recently.
Oh yeah,
took it under his wing.
What's he saying about it?
He's bullish. I love that dude. Shout out to him.
Oh yeah. I gotta stop saying I was just saying in the beginning, and I'm gonna hear I'm sorry, freaks. I know it's annoying.
And I gotta stop coughing.
You can't control that. I can control my ums.
I've been pretty good about the mute every time I cough, though. So you only can tell if I.
Is there a squirrel in your room?
No, I have my window open, and I think someone's wheeling a luggage bag on a
cobblestone road.
Cobblestone road, yeah. I think
this is cool to see. Coincenter suing OFAC over its Tornado Cash sanction. OFAC does not have the authority to sanction a smart contract, and Americans have a right to use privacy tools. So this is Coincenter. Our boy David Hoffman's part of this as well. And I believe there's one other entity or individual that has joined this lawsuit. Yes, Patrick O'Sullivan, John Doe, and David Hoffman.
David became a man.
I respect it.
No, I 100% shout out to him on this. It takes
balls.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's balls. I mean, it's just going to be very time consuming, very public and very time consuming.
Yeah,
a lot of paperwork involved.
Don't like paperwork.
But this is good to see. We talked about Alexei a lot. The dev who's in jail in the Netherlands during the event, because it's ridiculous that a developer is in jail over open source code, and they're denying him bail, trying to hit him with the worst they can get him with.
Yeah, and so the nature of this lawsuit. Let me find David's tweet from a few
So
days.
David specifically was one of the guys that got dusted.
Yes.
So like the different plaintiffs have different angles, and his angle was, I got dusted, so now I have to file a report every year saying I'm not violating sanctions.
Yeah, I got dusted from Tornado Cash. Now every year of my life, I am forced to file a report reaffirming that I'm not a criminal. I don't intend to waste my time like that. David Hoffman versus Janet Yellen. So yes, they're suing the Treasury Department.
I mean, you got to imagine, Marty, you're a little bit jealous that he's going to be able to have a frame on his wall of David Hoffman versus Janet Yellen.
I'll get my day. I'll have my frame. Don't worry, Janet. I'm coming for
When
that
are you,
ass.
when are you suing Janet, Marty? When are you suing Janet, and when are you going to stop LARPing about it?
I'm gonna sue her for wearing that purple coat back in 2012 and manipulating markets with her with her outfit. That was a radicalizing moment for me.
I would say, there's another thing to be learned here too is not attaching addresses or Ethereum accounts to your legal identity. You also wouldn't have to file a report every year in this situation.
Well, that
But
doesn't seem to be part of the culture over there. So
I would say kind of not part of our culture either, but
what do you mean?
We definitely do it better.
I think it's definitely more a part of our culture.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like attach it directly, but like, I mean, people have a lot of KYC data on them, linked to addresses.
Oh, that's true.
You can't go to like Etherscan and type in David Hoffman and pull up a Bitcoin address, but
no. While we're on the conversation of Ethereum, I thought we'd bring this up. Our boy Martin Kopelman tweeted out earlier today, we reached another sad milestone in censorship, 51%. This means the censoring validators would now stop attesting to non-censoring blocks. They would eventually form the canonical 100% censoring chain. So this is where I believe we're exactly a month post Ethereum merge from proof of work to proof of stake, and there's already 51% of blocks that are being produced by validators that are OFAC compliant entities. So we told you so.
Yeah, I told you so. Don't pull out the told you so quickly. We did tell you so. I think, and I said as much here in Amsterdam on stage, that I expect this to be a real world lesson for a lot of people on protocol level censorship risk, specifically in proof of stake systems that are captured by regulated entities, which most proof of stake systems will inherently happen to most proof of stake systems. We're not there yet. This chart definitely has more relevance because Martin is, a major ETH guy. But there's something there that I don't really understand, and I don't pretend to understand. There's like relays when you do proof of stake in Ethereum, and like some of the relays have
Mev
like,
boost or something like that.
yeah, which is miner extracted value, but now it's not miner, it's like staker extracted value, where they make extra money. So there's a financial incentive to use it, and those relays have censorship built in by default. And supposedly stakers can like attach themselves to multiple relays, or they can switch relays. I don't really understand exactly the thing, but like there's on this website that everyone takes the screenshot from, you can like toggle different options and it gives you like wildly different charts. So like take that as you will. This guy's very pro ETH, so this is probably like the chart you want to look at, but we're not quite there yet. We will get there, and at that point, me and Marty will told you so. Or Marty can just say it now, and we'll say it again when it happens.
We told you so. God, stop it, Marty. Stop it. Big news if you're into the institutional investors moving into Bitcoin. BNY Mellon, partners with Fireblocks to custody Bitcoin. So I believe BNY Mellon is the oldest bank in the United States, founded by the communist Alexander
Did you see
Hamilton.
Trump tweeted out the oldest bank in the world? And then someone like commented underneath is like, there's thousands of banks that were started before your country was even born, bro.
It's not the oldest bank in the world. Started by Alexander Hamilton, who really muddied the waters in early day. Do I have the book up here? I do. It's right there.
Hamilton's fucking G.
No, he's not, dude. He fucked up the Treasury. He created the fiat system right off the bat when he was head of the Treasury. You got to go read Thomas Jefferson's biography.
I strongly believe TJ hated Hamilton. I strongly believe that if
and TJ was on the right side of history.
I strongly believe that if Hamilton wasn't assassinated by our vice president, that we'd be in a better place today. But
was that Aaron Burr?
Yeah, in the fucking duel.
Do we need to bring back duels?
Anyway, this news is way too overblown. By the way, that's why I put on. I put on the list of shit on it.
All right, shit on it.
But Bitcoin Twitter is like, this is what is just where are the priorities? Where like what? Who fucking gives a shit if a bank is willing to custody your Bitcoin for you, and they're using Fireblocks, which is like one of the major custodians in the space.
Yeah.
Congratulations! Like, what did that accomplish?
Yeah, we'll see.
Institutional adoption.
Well, don't want to kick people while they're down, but I mean, NYDIG was making similar proclamations around this time last year. They had created these partnerships to allow partner banks to easily acquire Bitcoin, and they just had to, in the last 3 months, slash 1/3 of their workforce. From what I'm hearing, a lot of that had to deal with that particular part of the business. So could be noise.
It just doesn't really. I honestly, I would prefer if banks didn't offer custody for a bit, because then it forces people to figure out self custody.
Agreed.
Like, you can just like, if you're in your Chase bank account, you can just press like stack sats and like you never hold the keys. Then people are going to do that.
Agreed. And that's actually one of the beauties of the aggressive supply schedule that Satoshi enabled. Mr. HodlHodl's always been a big advocate of this. People worry about too many coins getting stuck on exchanges, and arguably there's a material amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, but due to the way Bitcoin... Excuse me?
There's like 4 million or something, less than 4 million.
Yeah. that is material. It's like...
Out of what, like 17 and a half or something?
No, well, if we're including destroyed coins, which we should.
They're not on exchange.
Estimated to be around 3 or 4 million. So that's all right. Now we're down to 16 million of Bitcoin in float. Yeah, 4 million of that would be 1/4. It'd be 25%.
21 million?
19. What's on the market right now?
I mean, I think when people, I think that's a low number. I think that's...
I do as well. And again, I think we're agreeing here, just getting into a semantics argument. But the aggressive supply schedule and the fact that early Bitcoiners didn't have any other option but to really mine Bitcoin or get it from faucets, which forced them to hold it in addresses that they control with private keys, is one of the underrated benefits of the aggressive supply schedule. There are 19.25 million Bitcoin on the market right now, and the first 12 million were distributed at a time when it was really hard to access Bitcoin on exchanges. Probably, wasn't that hard. I watched a Coinbase documentary last night. That was interesting.
I heard it was horrible.
It was just a big PR.
Did you pay for it?
I rented it. It was $4.
Wow. It was produced by Coinbase.
Oh yeah. It was a big... I mean, it did humanize Brian Armstrong a bit. You can't see it, but it's
That was the point, right? But they talked about hacking team. I heard.
they did. They talked about hacking team. Talked about the BLM drama that they went through. Talked about the early days. The early days of him and like Fred Ursum were interesting. Very happy to see that they're still good friends. And but that's actually the part of the Coinbase story that wasn't told that many people don't know is that Brian had an original co-founder named Ben, and he sort of boxed him out of
Ben who?
He's from blockchain.info. I forget his last name.
This was in the documentary?
No, it wasn't. It should have been if you wanted to.
Wow, do the Bens know about this?
I don't know. I don't know if the Bens know about this.
What would the world be different if there was a Ben in charge of Coinbase?
Well, I think this actually gets to the point I wanted to make is
like any worse?
No, it'd actually be better because the whole point of the documentary was to like hold up Coinbase as this company that's trying to bring economic freedom to the world, which is a complete LARP considering the fact that they're a fully custodial KYC AML surveilled company. And that it just like kept irking me as I was watching as like Brian Armstrong, and he seems like a nice dude in the documentary. It was obviously made to make him seem like a nice dude. So
this is the guy you always call naked mole rat. Do you just call him a nice dude?
I felt the documentary did a good job of humanizing him, which I have never met him.
Do not give them $4 and go watch this documentary. We've already spent too much time on this.
All right, back to the point. Like it's just we're gonna shit on the naked mole rat. Like you want to bring economic freedom, and you're creating a centralized financial system on top of Bitcoin and all the other shit coins that you're enabling. But the original co-founder, I think that was the Ben. That was the difference they had. Ben wanted to allow individuals to hold their own keys, and Brian was like, no, that's like a big UX problem. We're going to go centralized wallet. So he boxed him out and then found Fred, and then they built what exists today.
It's not Ben Dello, right?
No, I don't think so. It's
Ben Dello is one of the co-founders of BitMEX. You remember him? He was the one who got arrested first.
Yeah, that was him. Let me find Ben Reeves. Crazy. Benjamin Reeves. That's who it was. He's a co-founder of blockchain.info.
Who is the other By the way, freaks, do not use blockchain.info. Horrible wallet. Who's the other co-founder of the main one?
Of Coinbase?
No, of blockchain.info, which you freaks shouldn't use.
I mean, Nick Carey.
Nick Carey. I remember I met him in 2013 at a Bitcoin conference. Those Bitcoin conferences, by the way, were just like nobody was there. There was dozens of us. But I remember like I looked up to him so much. I thought he was like such a
G,
like beacon of hope in the space. Just it's amazing how quickly you can just like fall into irrelevance.
Yeah. Which is like the funny part about the Coinbase documentary, crescendoed with their IPO, and like you get like a view of like the Goldman Sachs underwriter who like took them public. And he's like all jacked up, like we're IPOing at $381 at 3 million shares.
Did the documentary show the 95% fall or whatever?
They didn't show it, but they had like one of those like end credits like since this Bitcoin's fallen by 70%, and so has Coinbase's stock. Coinbase's stock is currently trading at like $68 or something like that.
I can't believe you watched the entire Coinbase propaganda documentary.
Well, somebody texted me, it was like, you have to watch it. And I was like, all right.
Is that the trick? If I just text you that, you'll watch it?
Pretty simple, man. It doesn't take much.
Anyway, freaks, I heard it was horrible. Don't watch it. It obviously worked on Marty. He loves Coinbase now.
No, I don't.
Marty's like, you're gonna tune into Rabbit Hole Recap next week, and Marty's gonna be reading a Coinbase ad at the beginning.
Buy Shiba. Crusoe acquires Great American Mining, a company that I helped start, get off the ground. This was announced earlier this week, and this is a continuation of the trend of the distress in the mining industry, mergers and acquisition are going to be part of that. So Crusoe acquired Great American Mining. I believe Todd and team are going to be staying on with Crusoe with their manufacturing facility in Ponchatoula, Louisiana, and they're going to help broker deals with the oil and gas companies that they already have deals with.
So there's some confusion among the freaks. Marty used to work at Great American Mining. He since left Great American Mining. Marty, is a congrats in order here for you, or
Uh,
not even aware?
I have no monetary benefit from this deal, uh, but a congrats. I'm proud that what we did at Great American Mining and that it it got acquired. I'm happy for the team there that it got acquired. But no, I have not received any financial benefit from this deal.
Uh, it would behoove me to say, for some of you freaks, this might be the first time you've heard of Crusoe Energy. I'm not sure what I can say and what I can't say at this point, but
There's a lawsuit out there. It's public.
Yeah, I what's public?
The lawsuit.
Yeah, there's a lot of shadiness that's going on with Crusoe right now. So be aware, freaks, and we'll keep you updated as more information comes out.
Yeah, that's all we can say right now. Bitcoin Ekasi launches an education center in South Africa. I have not read up on this story. What's going on here? Good shit.
I mean, it's awesome. Like Bitcoin Ekasi has seemed to be doing really great work in South Africa, and I just love seeing all these new community spaces opening up around the world. As you can see in the sign, they got support from Paxful. Ray is here in Amsterdam. Like, got to chill with Ray. I love that dude.
Tell him
So
to
high
DM
energy.
me back. He hit me up a couple weeks ago and he hasn't responded to my DM.
Okay, if I see him, if I see him after this rip, I'll tell him to DM you back.
Shout out to Paxful. Shout out to the Ekasi crew. It's great to see education spreading. And that's the other
Yeah,
thing.
I
It's,
love these local community centers. I mean, obviously, like that's what we're doing at Bitcoin Park. That's what you guys are doing at Bitcoin Commons. Um, but I just love to see them pop up around the world. It's important to have physical spaces.
it is. And the most encouraging thing about everything I've seen coming out of South Africa, specifically with Ekasi, is they're really educating young people about how to use Bitcoin. So like all the videos you see of people going in to a store to buy stuff with Bitcoin tends to be like young kids. So it's awesome to see.
With their custodial wallet of Satoshi.
Hey, they got to start somewhere.
I felt bad because I said that everyone who's using wallet of Satoshi is either going to get rug pulled or shotgun KYC'd. And they responded back like, "Oh, we need something that's as easy to use as wallet of Satoshi. We wish we could use something different, but we can't." So just know, if you're listening, Ekasi members, that I feel that pain. I feel that pain, but I also am worried that everyone we're onboarding in the developing world is going to get rugged at the same time, which would be a fucking disaster.
Well, let's end this topic. Let's tie this up with a positive note. The UX is getting better. Hopefully, UX is getting better around key management. Hopefully, it gets better around Lightning liquidity management, node management, and more Uncle Jims pop up around the world that allow their family members and friends to connect to their node and use Lightning in that way.
The best was so there was a freak with an NFC Lightning card, and he wanted to pay with his own node on the Lightning beer dispenser, and he tapped it, and we just had to sit there and like usually it's instant if you're using a custodial wallet, but he tapped it, and we had to sit there for like 45 seconds chatting, waiting for the beer to come out because it had to connect to his home node via Tor.
Hey, trade offs. Tor's
We're
borked.
still very early, you know. We're slow and steady. Got to be patient, freaks. Got to stay humble.
Got to stay humble. And you got to stay humble too, because you thought the Coinbase talk was over, but it's not. Google partners with Coinbase to accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
I added this story in here also to shit on it.
I mean, it just
People
seems
got
like
super excited about this. This is like, yeah.
OpenNoms had a great tweet about this.
First of all, obviously they're not just accepting Bitcoin, which is fine. They're accepting like all the shit coins that Coinbase supports. But I don't even think that's the like bullshit part of the story. The bullshit part of the story is Coinbase is obviously a major Google Cloud customer. Well,
Yeah.
they were formerly a major AWS customer, Amazon Web Services. So they wanted to switch to Google, and they made Google sweeten the deal by saying you'll accept our payments in crypto. And they're like, oh, we'll do a cool press release saying Google now accepts crypto for select customers. It's like Coinbase and like a couple other Web3 companies, presumably. It's like, oh, like Coinbase and Infura can pay Google via Coinbase.
Yeah.
Massive, bullish. This is it. This is it. Grab on.
It's
Back to the
crazy.
horns of the bull. We're going crazy.
Well, who knows? I don't think we can know for certain whether or not Coinbase is hosting their key security infrastructure on Google Cloud. But if they are, it's like this is OpenNom's tweet.
No, it's probably like nodes and shit.
Which you're probably using your keys to interact with that node to like create transactions and stuff like that. But who is holding whose keys? The Coinbase infra is running on Google Cloud provider. Yeah, it's big PR. Coinbase doing a lot of PR. The stock's in the tanker. They gotta pamp it.
And actually, now that I think about it, there's another bullish, quote unquote, bullish Google news was that you can now type in an ETH account address into Google and it shows you the balance.
That seems like a very smart move.
Yeah. I mean, like now you don't have to use an Etherscan. You can just sign into your Google account and go into Google search and just type in all your addresses there on ClearNet. I'm a little bit exhausted.
The world is your oyster, freaks.
And sick, so I apologize that I'm being a little bit.
No need to apologize.
I'm being a little bit passive aggressive or just straight aggressive or.
I love it. I love the aggro. Sick Odell.
Disillusioned.
What did you think about this? Validity rollups on Bitcoin. So, John Light.
Oh, this looks cool. First of all, I love John. John is awesome. He's always been a very rational, caring contributor to Bitcoin. He had like a little bit of a shitcoining phase and then came back to Bitcoin, which you love to see. But he cares about privacy a lot. He's always seemed to care about like ethics and stuff. He's always seemed to be. I mean, I've never met him in person, but as internet friends, he's always seemed to be a really good dude. And I'm glad that he's, working on this research for Bitcoin. And so this specifically is scaling research for Bitcoin. It would require a soft fork.
You need a new opcode, right?
Yes, I believe so. I don't know.
It came out CKP or something like that, I believe.
I don't know. It came out this week, and I've just been all over the place. But a brief skim seems to indicate that it would offer major scaling benefits to our on-chain transactions. I don't know what the trade-offs are. Is there a section in there that just titled trade-offs? Like I should have just Control F.
Comparing alternative cryptocurrency.
But I got to give the full. He put a lot of time into this. HRF funded it. I encourage you freaks to go read through the proper research paper. I haven't yet, but I appreciate it for going through it.
Section 6 is the cost and risk of validity rollups. Increased bandwidth and storage costs, managing full node verification cost, minor extractable value would probably be brought to Bitcoin, algorithmic incentive manipulation contracts, transaction withhold contracts, reorg wars, majority vulnerable. Yeah, it seems like there are some trade-offs. fully automated totalitarianism, provoking authoritarians.
Well, there's always
private
trade-offs.
agents. Yeah.
The question is if the trade-offs are worth it or not.
Novel cryptography, compromised toxic waste. So, yeah, there's about 7 trade-offs that he highlights in this paper.
Anyway, love to see it.
Yeah, I've been
regardless implemented or not.
I've been peeking in on the mailing list. He announced this on the Bitcoin Dev mailing list too, and there seems to be good conversation, productive conversation happening around this particular proposal. We've got software updates, but before we do that, we are going to go to shoutouts. We do have a shout out this week. And I'm going to put this link in our show notes, or in our Slack, Logan, to put in the show notes. And you can pull it up too. Hey guys, first off, I want to say thanks to Marty and Matt for all you guys do, and a special thanks to Matt for his advice via Telegram. I'm writing this shout out because my church is allowing me to run a Bitcoin fundraiser for the church. We are trying to raise funds to provide a free summer camp to the kids in the community next year. There will be no cost, and it will be open to anyone who wants to use it, regardless if they attend the church or not. I've set up a fundraiser, and I'm really hoping to be able to meet the goal by the next church business meeting in January. The pastor has agreed to hold some Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the church if this is successful in raising the money we need. Donations are tax deductible. I'm including the URL to the fundraiser in this message. If you could pass it along, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for all you do, Hunter Biggs.
I remember he reached out to me relatively recently via Telegram, and I pointed him to BTC Pay Server and Voltage. So pretty awesome to see him follow through on it. Cool initiative.
Yeah, how much
I would consider getting a custom domain and having it redirect to this, and then you don't have to pay for another shout out. If you just want to message me on Telegram the custom domain, we can say it on air next episode. So It's not like so it's not btcpay0.voltageapp.io/app/39me yada yada yada. I'm not Marty, so I'm not going to read the whole URL.
I thought about it and decided it's way too long. I'm going to donate 100,000 sats on air here. Let's see if it updates live on the dashboard when we do that. I got to pick Lightning here. Send. Unknown address format. I got to stop using Zap. I can't. I was going to donate live on air, but I can't. I need to get another. I need to get another Lightning mobile wallet that connects to my node. The one I'm using is old.
Okay, I'm going to donate.
And my custodial Lightning wallet doesn't have any funds on it right now. But
what custodial Lightning wallet do you use?
Blue Wallet. Aren't you happy it doesn't have any sats on it right now?
I guess so. I mean,
I use it to test the website because I can't use our own node to test the website.
It's pretty sad that you can't pay a Lightning invoice right now, though.
I know. I need to transition to Zeus. DJ, if you're listening.
Okay. I just 10x'd the total donations.
And it showed up right away. It's beautiful how that happens. Now we're on to the software update section of the show. BTC Pay Server version 1.6.12 has been released. Nothing too crazy there. Bitcoin S version 1.9.6 has been released. This is the Bitcoin implementation created by the SureBits team. Trying to see if there's anything here. DLC related. So if you're looking to mess around with DLCs, Bitcoin S is fine-tuned for DLCs specifically. Go check that out. BTCD version 0.23.2 has been released. I'm sure this is related to what Barack borked earlier this week. So if you're running BTCD and you want to make sure that your actually recognizing valid transactions as valid, you probably want to upgrade to this version, 0.23.2. Onion Share version 2.6 has been released. What is this? Just like a quick...
Do you know Onion Share?
Oh,
We've
yeah,
talked about.
this was to get people unloaded on the Tor easier.
You can like host a static Tor website from your computer very easily. You can chat with people. You can share files via Tor. It's completely independent of the Tor project. This guy maintains it. Rarely releases updates, but he released an update. So
shout out to him. Not really a software update, but a data leak update from the team over at Mulvad VPN Android leaks connectivity check traffic. This is pretty big.
So Mulvad did research on iOS, if you remember, a couple weeks ago, and they said that iOS leaks traffic when you use a VPN, even if you have VPN always on enabled. And then they checked Android, and it also leaks connectivity checks. So it doesn't leak traffic. Did I put traffic in the? I don't think it leaks traffic.
You said traffic.
But it leaks. Yeah, it leaks like your IP address to Google servers, which is not good. As part of this connectivity check thing. Now, there's no way to disable it, but if you run Graphene, Graphene has it blocked. So Graphene users unaffected. If you're running it on a Pixel device, you're unaffected. That's Graphene is one of the de-Googled, Android. It's a privacy focused Android implementation that we've talked about many times on the show that has Google removed. They have this covered. So if you're using Graphene, you're good. If you're using any other Android phone, your IP address is presumably getting leaked during connectivity checks, and they submitted a request to Google to solve it on their end. We'll see if anything happens from that.
Be aware, freaks. Be aware. Shout out to Mulvad for doing this research. Staying on the VPN tip.
Oh, that was another thing. I met my two favorite hosted VPNs are Mulvad and iVPN. They both accept Bitcoin and don't require personal information. I met one of the top guys from iVPN in Amsterdam.
Hell yeah!
And I asked him if he was a spook directly to his face, and asked him if they're logging. And he said no, which is to be expected. But his face also seemed to say no. So just take that as you will.
Was it a fuck no?
He was a little bit surprised, but
yeah, the Europeans don't like the forward nature of their American counterparts.
He introduced himself, and the first thing I asked, I was like, "Are you logging?"
You got to ask the hard questions. You have to ask the hard questions. More VPN news. Proton VPN has released Stealth, which is a new VPN protocol, which is an attempt to prevent VPN blockers as more and more people adopt VPNs to skate around oppressive governments, authoritarian governments, or the Bitcoin Commons here in Austin, Texas. Their governments are getting wiser, internet companies are getting wiser to recognize VPNs and block individuals trying to access particular websites from VPNs. And Stealth from Proton is a protocol that tries to route around that identification. So it makes it extremely hard to identify that you're actually using a VPN.
It looks more like normal internet traffic. It uses TLS.
Yes.
So specifically, it makes it harder for like an ISP to just block all VPN connections, which oftentimes governments will force them to do.
Yeah, so this is good to see. Shout out to the Proton team. We're a Proton company. Our email is Proton here at TFTC. That's all we've got for the list up to what you wanted to discuss. I've got two topics that I wanted to touch on before we wrap up here. It's going to be a tight rip today. We're actually an hour and a half in already, but I just think it's important to bring these topics to the fore from the macro perspective. A growing trend that we're starting to see here in the United States is the commercial paper markets are beginning to dry up. That means that less and less companies are issuing corporate debt. And why is this important? Because it is one of the signals that liquidity is freezing up. That's why I named the episode, liquidity is drying up, is we're beginning to see signs in corporate bond markets that liquidity is drying up. These companies don't want to issue new debt because interest rates are so high. And this is one of the triggers that caused the Fed to step in March of 2020 to bail out the markets, as you had a seize in the commercial paper markets, and we're beginning to see something like that materialize again here in late 2022. So something you should keep an eye on.
A bit tangential. Tether has a bunch of different things that they use to back up Tether, and one of the types of assets they have is commercial paper, and I think they announced, like, the last few days, they announced
Yesterday.
that they have unloaded all of their commercial paper and swapped it for
Treasuries.
treasuries.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest timeline. It's like MakerDAO and Tether are all holding treasuries now.
I mean, it makes sense for Tether. Yeah, this is an interesting, good timing by Tether, rotating out of commercial paper right as those markets are seizing up. But going into treasuries, that's one thing I've been thinking of, because obviously bond yields are screaming right now. 30 years approaching 4%, 10 years above 4%, I believe, 2 years above 4%. And so the ironclad nature of U.S. treasuries isn't as ironclad as it has been historically. So that's what I would worry long-term if this trend continues for Tether, having all their eggs in the U.S. Treasury basket. However, if the U.S. Treasury market goes bunk, that means the dollar goes bunk as well. And so Tether would go bunk by extension, because people wouldn't really be using the stablecoin because the dollar wouldn't be worth anything. But something to pay attention to there. And then last but not least, the one other thing I wanted to share, I just thought this was interesting. I don't know if, I'm sure you weren't paying attention because you were busy at the conference, and Matt's having a coughing fit right now. Thank you for muting. But yesterday had some crazy intraday volatility. We had the inflation print come out early yesterday morning. It was 8.2%, significantly more elevated than many people were expecting. Markets dumped on open, and we're down. Bitcoin dumped as well. Bitcoin dropped to like $18.1 thousand. But through the day, I don't know what happened. Market shot back up. End of the day green, but it was
Happened.
Excuse me.
I was on stage when this happened. When I got off stage, a freak told me.
Shout out to the freak paying attention to markets while on stage. But yeah, the total relative intraday swing in stock markets yesterday was 5.4%, making it the 63rd biggest intraday swing out of 15,000 plus days since 1962. But more interestingly enough, equating trends dating back to March 2020, this is the most volatility we saw intraday since, I believe, March 25th, 2020, which is right before.
That's a better stat. The other stat is just a little bit.
What, the 15,000 days?
The 63rd biggest intraday out of 15,000 days since 1962. It's just a little bit.
It's the biggest intraday move since March 25th, 2020.
It's like we're the largest family-owned grocery store with 3 cousins in the tri-state area or whatever it is.
Hey. Yeah, markets are the VIX.
I think Foss was on stage and he was saying, he like cherry picked the recent data on both sides and was like, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is more volatile than Bitcoin now. It's like you're just asking for massive volatility on Bitcoin to happen right after you say that.
Yeah, it's
It does feel like volatility is coming for Bitcoin. We've been pretty stable-ish.
Yeah, if you look at like the weekly chart, it's like
we're coiling. We're coiling. We're either gonna go up or down from here, freaks. That's my analysis. But it's gonna be volatile.
Yeah, and one more chart I want to show, because we've talked about this in the past, and just get an update on that.
My $1,000 a year newsletter, and I'll tell you that we're either gonna go up or down from here.
So this is This is the iShares iBoxx dollar high yield corporate bond ETF. Obviously, we're just talking about commercial paper. And this is a chart that we've referenced in the past, and it is still sliding. It has not reached a cliff yet, but it is reaching the lows that we saw in late March 2020, which was 69.8. We're at 71.7 right now on this index. And so I would imagine if it approaches the previous low that was reached in late March 2020, that we could see a structural breakdown in these corporate bond markets. And again, this is
Can this go negative, or is that just oil?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'm sure we'll find out. But
can you believe oil was negative fucking like less than 2 years ago?
I mean, there's nuance to this. It was like the May futures contract traded negative because there wasn't the ability to store, to deliver.
There'll be nuance. Someone's going to be like, well, the iShares iBoxx high yield corporate bond ETF is not the real corporate bond market. It's like no one can take possession of the corporate bond.
That's a good point. But again, this is where the signal is. The big question in markets right now is like the Fed with its significant rate hikes in recent months throughout this year. They, like, the pivot is the big question. When do they pivot back to a more dovish policy? I know I get yelled at for that. Dovish policy. And it's either when inflation gets down around their 2% target, or they're forced to do it because something breaks structurally in the credit markets. And tracking this commercial paper market, the corporate bond market, is probably where the signal will be, where the alarm bells will ring first. And as we mentioned earlier, it seems that liquidity is drying up in these markets. And so we may be seeing early warning signs that the Fed is beginning to break things in the credit market. So be aware.
Well, my analysis is that they're going to pivot at some point. The printer will happen again.
Yes, it will.
Significantly. It's very strong analysis. Either before or after conference day.
Which conference? So many goddamn conferences now.
Dude, there's way too many now. There's way too many. On that note, if you want to come to Miami, Bitcoin 2023, they have a
It's
one
right
day
before
only.
Memorial Day? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this to me?
Is it right before Memorial Day? I didn't say the dates.
It's like May 20th to May 23rd.
Well, anyway, if you've been there before, you know, it's a massive conference. There was like 25,000 people there, plus a music festival. So it is definitely a unique party. But they have a 21% off, one day only discount called Amsterdam. So if you are thinking about going, you might want to use that discount code, b.tc/conference. I want to talk about, before we wrap, we have to talk about our favorite human rights activist who got deplatformed.
Oh,
Kanye.
Zaya, yes. Oh, Kanye. I was thinking
we
Zaya.
also have to talk about Zaya.
Who
do you want to talk about first?
We can talk about Kanye first.
Let's talk about Zaya first. So
Okay.
Zaya is this awesome Bitcoiner from Iran who got arrested during the recent protests and is currently sitting in Iranian jail.
Yeah.
Gladstein had some really great remarks and support for him here at the Amsterdam event. Hopefully we'll see something similar at TabConf and the other events. So if you are at TabConf, consider talking to someone over there and making sure. They do talk about it, and they should talk about Alexei too. It would be great, the Tornado Cash dev. But yeah, absolutely hate to see it. Obviously, Iran has been fucking with the internet. They've been quelling these protests. They've been trying to stop information from getting out. So the amount of information we have on this particular case is very small. I'm not sure exactly what we can do to help, but just be aware of it. And, you know, if any freaks out there know how we can help him in any way, definitely reach out.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of going on the Total Bitcoin podcast with Zaya in November of 2020. And I mean, the work that he has been doing for years over in Iran to educate people about Bitcoin, creating education in Farsi, and really, I believe he was actually in the process of translating the Bitcoin standard for safe into Farsi as well before all this shit happened. He's been an incredible Bitcoiner. He is an incredible Bitcoiner for many years, trying to help the people of his country, and it's extremely disheartening to see that he was taken in by authorities. And yeah, it's even scarier to know that nobody's really aware of what's going on with him right now. So probably can't hear this, Zaya, but praying for you, pulling for you.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely cannot hear this right now. But
Yeah.
like I said, if any freaks know if there's anything we can do or anything the freaks can do, I definitely reach out. And it's troubling. As Bitcoiners have to stick together, it's only going to get worse from here for a little bit before it gets better.
Yeah.
Also, you kind of reminded me, since you mentioned he was translating the Bitcoin standard, I did meet a ride or die freak that has translated RoboSats documentation into Chinese.
Oh,
And he
whoa.
asked me if I knew someone who spoke Chinese that could proofread his translation. So I do not know Chinese yet. So if any of you freaks do know Chinese and you're interested in helping him with that, reach out to me, not through Twitter DMs. So like Telegram or Matrix are ideal.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's crowdsource all this stuff. We need to translate into everything.
But huge shout out to Zaya.
Yeah.
We love you, dude, and we appreciate you, and we can get you out of there sometime soon, like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised he was standing up during these protests.
Not at all. Not in the least bit. I mean, that episode I did with Kevion and him for Total Bitcoin, he was very outspoken about his thoughts on the government, what they were doing to mining, particularly around that time. Yeah, Kanye. Ended on Kanye, and probably mentioned PayPal as well. We haven't talked about that either.
Well, PayPal's backtracking.
Yeah, I
PayPal like
mean,
changed their policy. They changed their terms and conditions, and they said that they can fine you $2,500 if you commit wrong think on social media and tweet out something they don't like. Um, PayPal has always been the best marketer for Bitcoin. They're like our corporate marketing arm. They just show you everything that's wrong with the traditional payment rails, and how Bitcoin is a real improvement as money that is censorship resistant, and that is not controlled by any company or country. But since the backlash, PayPal has said that that was not their intention for the terms and condition change, even though that's definitely bullshit. And they're offering people $15 worth of credit if during the cancellation of your account process, because people are deleting their PayPal accounts.
yeah, not a good look. Yeah, the about face, incredibly insulting. It's like, oh, we try to sneak this censorship in on you. Oh, you're closing your accounts. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. It's like, all right, leave
I
PayPal.
will say, go on.
Like you said, they're the biggest advert. I mean, they're a very integral part of Bitcoin's story, specifically around WikiLeaks. I mean, that is what drove a lot of
Yeah.
attention to Bitcoin.
I mean, WikiLeaks was also canceled by like Visa, MasterCard as well.
I believe PayPal was
Um,
the first, though, right?
but I mean, PayPal's even bigger advertiser because they just lock people's accounts all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like everyone just like it's just constant. It's constant. They just teach people a lesson over and over again. You know, if you use these payment rails, if you use these traditional payment rails, they're all custodial relationships, and your money is not your money. Like they can just cut you off at will and destroy your business. I will say this time is a little bit different. This time is different. The best meme. Um, because the PayPal stock took a fucking hit on the news, which is part of the reason why they probably did the about face so quickly. Like the stock was down a lot.
Yeah, it took a massive hit.
You kind of love to see. You kind of love to see um, investors be aware of it, because usually I feel like, I mean, our bubble is so anti PayPal that when I saw it on Twitter, I was like, oh well, obviously we're talking about it, but
I mean,
it
it's a hot
actually,
topic.
yeah.
Because again, and this is, I mean, I wrote a newsletter about it on Wednesday. So it was about PayPal, and we'll mention the news about Kanye West as well. He went on a big rant, multi-tweet, multi-Instagram post rant over the weekend, last weekend, and on Tuesday, or no, it was Wednesday. The world.
Well, you said anti-Semitic shit, right? Like that's
Yeah,
the
I
reason.
mean, that's the justification for all this. Yeah, I mean, JP Morgan didn't cite it in their letter to him, but they basically told him he has until November 20th to move funds for Yeezy LLC, which is his company, his multi-billion-dollar company, away from JP Morgan.
Such a good LLC name.
Yeezy. God, excuse me, freaks. But yeah, I wrote the newsletter on this on Wednesday. And again, you got to zoom out. Don't focus on what Kanye said, but just this action. There's the fact that we're in the slippery slope. Like, we see him came after WikiLeaks. They went after Alex Jones. They've gone after Gab.
In the beginning, every Bitcoin business.
Every Bitcoin business.
Like, that's why Tether exists, was because no Bitcoin businesses could fucking get bank accounts.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, going back to the PayPal story, it seemed like that $2,500 fine was priming the pumps for them to begin.
It's still in the terms and conditions. Like, they haven't removed it. They're going to fine you if they want to.
And so this is...
And close your account. They're going to fine you and close your account.
So this is the conversation about free speech, right? And obviously they're not attacking speech directly. They're not saying, hey, you can't say this. We're going to physically stop you from saying these things. But these types of actions by PayPal and JP Morgan, what they do is incentivize self-censorship, which is another form of speech deterrent by authorities.
It's almost more insidious. It's be careful what you say, because you might lose your banking relationships and access to your money and access to financial markets. Like, not your business can get just destroyed by it.
Yeah, and right now it's Kanye saying what he said. It's PayPal users speaking their political beliefs, and they may be considered far right extreme or whatever, but who knows? At some point in the future, you could be saying, like, I don't think it's right for children to be mutilated in the name of gender transitions, and boom, your bank account gets hooked. I'm pro-life. Boom, bank account gets hooked. Who knows? That could have been what Kanye got his bank account hooked for. Was being pro-life.
I mean, it was definitely for the anti-Semitic remarks. I think there's no question there that that's why it happened.
Yeah, but we don't know.
It's a dangerous precedent, regardless.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to stand up for free speech for people you disagree with, then you don't actually believe in free speech.
No.
That's why, like I think Alex Jones is a complete fucking scammer, but I never wanted him to get deplatformed from platforms, from Twitter.
Fight good ideas with better ideas, or bad ideas with better ideas. If you really want to shut somebody up, shut them up on the battlefield of debate, rhetoric, and logic. No, but I guess we'll just end it on this tweet from our boy Gigi. This is the wrong tweet, but it's not a bad tweet at all. What's the one I'm looking for? Where is it? Gigi, you tweet too much, bro.
Oh, let's play the clip from Amsterdam. Do we have the clip?
Yes, pull that up. Matt was on stage shitting.
Yeah, go listen to this full conversation, freaks. If you go to the Bitcoin Magazine YouTube, I also put it on the dispatch feed.
Gigi, how much do you tweet, bro? There it is. Yeah, that one.
And the burdensome compliance measures that they result in do not stop criminals from using Bitcoin or using dollars in a... FATF has the advantage that when you talk about them, it just seems extremely boring. But at the core, these regulations and the burdensome compliance measures that
you can hear this,
they
right?
result in do not stop criminals from using Bitcoin or using dollars in a criminal way. They get around it. They figure out how to get around it. What it does do is it puts law-abiding, honest people at risk. It stops them from interacting with the financial system. And pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, this panel can be summed up with they can go fuck themselves. FATF has the advantage.
You could have added a demonic in there somewhere.
I didn't want to steal your tagline.
Hey, the tagline is open source.
Are you sure you don't have a trademark on it?
No. Oh, we found somebody too.
That was a great. It was a frustrating conversation, but I think it was a good conversation.
I'm getting a text right now. We actually have somebody at Cathedra who could help the RoboSats guys translate the Chinese stuff or proofread it at least.
Oh, that'd be good. You should put me in touch.
We have a fluent Mandarin speaker on the team from Utah.
Sweet.
God damn it! I'm gonna stop it, freaks. I'm gonna stop it.
Do we have what's Gigi's tweet? Could you not find it?
No, I put it in the Slack. It's up. This is the one I want. Back to free speech.
We have Crypto Clydesdale. Matt, it seemed like you wanted to say a lot more on the panel. I mean, yeah, I did.
So Gigi Sweet, I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah. Fortunately, we have a podcast where we talk to you freaks once a week for the last 4 years. So I don't really have a shortage of time to talk too much.
Speaking of talking, free speech is important, no matter what kind of speech it is. If you're not defending the worst speech, you don't really care about free speech. Gigi put this very cogently. I'm going to go ahead and say something insanely controversial. I'm from freedom of speech, including stupid and wrong speech, which is the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't protect speech of people you disagree with, you literally do not believe in free speech. It's not how it works.
It's very cut and dry.
Now, now the main argument you will hear, just to steelman it, is the main argument is this is, a bank or Twitter is a private company. They do not have to abide by free speech rules, laws. They can censor and do whatever the fuck they want. And you can go to a different private company because we have free markets. But the question really is here is if he's going to be able to switch to another bank. So we'll see. He really should be, obviously. I mean, I'm fucking talking my book. Every Bitcoiner thought the same exact thing. He really should be using Bitcoin, but he will probably find another bank that will bank him. Now with WikiLeaks, that wasn't the case. With WikiLeaks, they were all in collaboration with each other, and that might be the case here as well. So we shall see.
Well, that was part of the newsletter on Wednesday. Is we can actually make a very good educated guess that this is happening because we have examples in recent months, particularly around COVID. Alex Berenson, who got kicked off of Twitter, wound up suing Twitter and subpoenaing them for their communications with the government, and basically won his case and found that the U.S. government, Andy Slavitt, not only the U.S. government, but the U.S. government and Pfizer, the Scott Gottlieb from Pfizer, were actively pressuring those. So the Biden White House and Pfizer board were actively pressuring Twitter to kick Alex Berenson off of the platform because of the fact that he was saying, "Hey, I don't think this vaccine is what it's marketed to be," which is true. It's not what it's marketed to be, and he got kicked off of Twitter via pressure from the U.S. government. So it wouldn't be hard to believe that the U.S. government is putting similar pressure on banking entities to deplatform people as well.
Oh, I mean, they always have.
Yeah.
And I don't think the results of his case were surprising to anybody. Like, I mean, it'd be surprising if there wasn't government pressure. I'm just saying that's the argument you will always hear from other people is like, oh, they're a private company.
Yeah, it's a argument built on a house of cards.
I mean, regardless of the government pressuring, right? Like Twitter as a platform, obviously, there's really no competition for it.
Yeah. That's actually, he used California precedent to make that case.
Bullshit.
Yeah. But in Alex's case, if you went and listened to the Rogan episode he recorded a couple months ago, there was actually, or a few months ago, he used some precedent in the state of California. I believe he specifically sued in the state of California because they have public square laws, and the court there deemed that Twitter could be considered a digital public square, which is an
Did
interesting
they
precedent.
actually market themselves as a digital public square?
Yeah, I believe so, in the early days at least.
I mean, we have Ty in the comments, Ride or Die Freak, saying banking and tech companies are captured by the gov, so they're not entirely private. I mean, I think you can make that argument with pretty much every major company in this country at this point.
Yeah.
And I would actually make the argument, I would go even further and say, you know, parts of our government are captured by large multinational corporations as well.
Yeah,
They're
very
very
intertwined.
At this point, they're very intertwined. And that's why, like...
That's what fascism is, by the way.
But that's why if you see, like, there's actually a large overlap between... In today's current world, there's a large overlap between, like, libertarians and then, like, the far left. Because like, the far left hates the corporations and then the libertarians hate the government, but they're all the same fucking entity now. Just fucking clown world shit.
Yeah, well, there was a great example of this earlier this week. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was... I tried. She was...
we use the initials.
she was doing a public square meeting or a town hall meeting in New York, and she got berated by her far left or previous supporters for not being anti-war enough. They really called her out for voting to send money to Ukraine and to push forward nuclear war. And so the libertarian isolationist anti-war movement, the far left anti-war movement are beginning to say the same things right now, which is good to see. We are not as divided as many people would like you to believe, freaks. All right, we got to wrap up. We've got Boostigrams. Shout out to you freaks this week. Top 4 boost, all above 50,000 sats. Great week for the brand, for the value for value model. Thank you for contributing. This is from Rabbit Hole Recap. Number 2021, KYC AML is putting people in danger. At B17, 70,069 sats. Boys, quick plug for the mass adoption Bitcoin meetup. Number 6 will be from 6 to 9 p.m. on Thursday, October 20th. That is 6 days from today at Jack's Abbey in Framingham, Massachusetts. Follow at BTC_Mass on the Bird app for updates. Stay humble. Shout out to B17. Get your ass to Jack's Abbey. At PW Marchenko, 69,000 sats. Matt, I just got rid of all my wiretap devices. Couldn't listen to y'all another week. Knowing I still had them. You and Marty doing amazing stuff here each week. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. We're going to win. Let's fucking go. He had an LFG in there as well.
Let's fucking go.
At Patar, OG booster, 50,000 sats, no message. And then another OG booster at Eric99, 50,000 sats. His typical stay humble and stack sats.
Great advice.
Thank you guys for contributing via the value for value model. If you're liking it, if you're getting value, you want to send it back to us. Podcasting 2.0 is the best way to do that, or going to tfttc.io/contribute and giving a donation or purchasing a shout out, which was read earlier. Love you, freaks. Happy to see that you're mingling with our Dutch freaks over there in Amsterdam.
Yeah, tonight's going to be good. I'm excited for it. I love you all. Be kind to your fellow neighbor. Stay humble, stack sats.
Send my love to the conference. Peace and love, freaks. Take care.